Alright, let's see if we can make this work. This is going to be a short video on the way my approach to scrolling and the way I made it work for me. And how I made it mine. Because it was never done this way. So there's my assistant. I wouldn't be referring to her. She's pretty, not as hot as Vanna, but not bad. Alright. 20-foot bars. Why did you 20-foot bars? Speaking of which, delicious local beer. There you go. The only reason I'm showing this is you don't need a bottle opener to open a beer. I get very frustrated with all the young men out there who ask, can you open my beer for me? Why don't you just man up and learn how to open a fucking bottle? We're going to be doing a video about bar bending, so we might as well have some fucking man lessons in it as well. If you don't know how to open a fucking beer, I can do a whole video on that. So, anyways, after you bend it, you bend the cap. It's just easy, boom, it's done. Now, 20-foot bars. Everything is 20-foot bars. Oh man, that's good. All right. "20-foot bars here. It's 3/8 by 1. That's 20 feet. Whoop. That's 5/8 around. That's 20 feet. The only time I really don't do 20-foot bars is when I do my design, the infinity scroll. The infinity scroll, generally speaking, is pause, daughter needs something. Yes, dear. I think we're back. All right. Sorry for the interruption. Actually, I'm not. It's my daughter. She gets first dibs. And we're still going. It's 20-foot bars. The nice thing with 20-foot bars is it comes from the factory in a given length. You don't have to cut it down. Cutting it down, you need extra tools. If you're a bar bender, you're going to be doing a lot of steel cutting. If you're a steel scroller, you're not going to cut much. Now going back to the infinity scroll, that is a set design. So I do cut that. So if I'm doing a 3/8 by 1 inch, I don't know what it is for you UK boys out there with the metric system. God bless you guys. You guys are smarter than me with that. I don't know. But if I'm doing this, I'm cutting it down to 8 feet for 3/8 by 1. And this new steel is way rougher, the stuff I've run across, than 11 years ago or whatever it was in 2017 or 2007 when I first started bending this design. If I'm doing it in 1/2 by 1, it's 10 feet, which goes into the bigger the diameter of the bar, the less you can do with it. So the longer the bar is, it gives you more options. I mean, 10 feet for a fucking scroll. The only thing you do that's halfway mediocre at 10 feet is maybe 1/2 inch round. I've never seen any, or coat hanger bends. That's a whole, I'll get on that here in a minute. I'm opinionated about this because when I started this, there was nobody really doing it. So I had to come up with a set of rules, why I was doing what I was doing. I can go on for like an hour, easy, about this. I'm just trying to make it quick on the highlights of how I go about it. Obviously no tools, this should be self-explanatory. For anybody that knows me, it's self-explanatory. But if you don't, there's no tools. I wear gloves. I don't wear the nice little gloves that keep your hands warm. I use the heavy dead animal kind. They're called leather. So when that tears, it tears before the live leather in my hand tears. So good construction type of gloves. I also wear clothes and shoes, but that's it. I don't heat the bar up. I don't put it in a jig. If you're doing something crazy where you don't have enough mass because you're wrestling this thing on the ground, you can't if you're going to crazy big bar, there's nothing wrong with putting it on top of like a rolled up rug, so you can, because it's bouncing, you got to bounce it further so it actually bends. So when it bounces back, you get it to where you want it. That's fine. But just generally speaking, you're wearing clothes and gloves. That's it. Cutting the ends is a big one. So back in the day, people would scroll bars, and it was the young grip guys. It's like Dave Morton was probably the first guy who noticed it. One of the nicest grip dudes in the fucking planet that's kept me in his home. Just an outstanding man. Super crazy strong. I saw him literally grease up a number 3 gripper, dip the handles in grease, and slam it and hold it. It's one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life. It's just unbelievable. Anyway, shout out to you, Dave. I don't know. I hope life is treating you well. But he noticed on a scroll that he had seen somebody had done some neat coils or whatever in a bar and then cut the ends off. Well, the average person doesn't know what they're looking at and says, oh man, this guy must be the Incredible fucking Hulk. Well, no, he's not the Incredible Hulk. He just cut the damn ends off. That could have been 3 feet long. He got it to what he wanted to look like and he cut the ends off. That doesn't, what are we doing here? You might as well just be heating the bar up. That's bullshit. Okay? So I don't cut the ends. You gotta have a little integrity with this. Okay. Unbent steel. Unbent steel pisses me off. There will be unbent steel, and that's okay. But as a rule, from the beginning of the bar, which would be there on this 5/8 round, to this end, everything in between is bent. We're scrolling steel. That means we're bending the hell out of it. It gets bent. Which also means you got to make it look good. There may be an exception, but an exception to the rule doesn't disprove the rule. As a general rule, everything in between the unbent ends get bent. That's not too complicated, but I see that violation all the time. Nobody knows the violation. It's just for me. You do what you want to do. To me, if I see unbent steel when it could easily have been bent to make the scroll look better, it annoys me. All right. A well-scrolled bar doesn't mean it has the most bends. You can bend the ever-living dog shit out of a bar and it look like shit. But if you want it to look good, you're going to have to make sure each inch is complementing what has been done in the past. So for the piece as a whole, and you're trying to figure it out as you go along, you cannot pre-plan in your mind how this is going to turn out. If you force it to look a certain way, it's generally going to look forced, which means it looks like shit. You want it to look good. The whole reason I started doing this is because I bought a 20-foot bar with Tommy Heslip. We scrolled 20 feet a half-inch round, rolled it up like a garden hose, and it looked like a bag of dicks. And I was like, well, that's money down the toilet. So the next time I did it, I threw more bends in it to make it look good. And I sold that bar to a buddy, which allowed me to buy a little bit more steel. And then I started doing more and more and more and experimenting with different diameters, flat, round, square, and bigger bars. Okay? You want it to look good. Otherwise, what's the point? I don't bend coat hangers. The smallest thing, the way I scroll steel, and with the rules I set in place for myself, the smallest diameter bar that would be acceptable would be 20 feet long, a half-inch round. And that's going to be a small package. This is 5/8 round. And that'll fit in a duffel bag, and it looks good. It really looks, it's a good looking scroll. From start to finish, it's a pretty scroll. Half-inch round's going to be a lot smaller. And I've done some neat half-inch rounders. I've got a couple, somewhere in this steel bomb of the basement. But you're very limited. Okay? You got it. If you're gonna understand the way I do it, anybody can do it the way they want to do it. There's other guys out there scrolling steel and showing it, and I like it. I think it's awesome guys are out there bending bars. The way I do it, it's got to be at a minimum 1/4 by 1 by 20 feet. At a minimum. And that can be tall or it can be tight and small. And I can show you guys examples of that if you want it. Just tell me. But this is 3/8 by 1. Well, 3/8 by 1, I'm 6'1". This is elevated, obviously, on a dresser. My phone is, what are you, 6'4" right now, hanging on top of another scroll that's 2 bars of 5/8 or 1/4 by 1 and another bar twisted up together with it that's 1/2 inch square. All right, and it's tall. We're pushing 7 feet. All right, there's a bunch of different ways. You can do single bars, you can wrap the bars together. You know, that possibilities are endless. Just with the rules, the self-imposed rules that I put on myself with the way that I do it. But the way I do it isn't the right way or the wrong way. It's just the way I figured it out. But it makes me critical, okay? So I don't bend coat hangers. I don't do 1/4 by half. I don't know if, I'm not calling anybody out. But I don't do tiny scrolls. What's the fucking point? This is, I'm coming from a grip strength community, which is where I learned about the old-time strongman. And then the old-time strongman, I wanted it to be impressive. Bending coat hangers to me isn't impressive. It may look awesome. I mean, there are wire sculptors. They're just amazing. But that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to capture a feat of strength in the steel and breathe life into the steel. It used to be part of the earth, and men went in and dug it out of the ground and brought Mother Earth out and refined her and then made this inanimate object straight as hell. Now, when you're bending it, you're breathing life back into it, just like God did to human fucking beings. That's the way I approach it. I get a little passionate, I apologize. Again, I'm an old sailor, and don't play this around your kids. It's like capturing a moment of greatness, all right? If you're an Olympic lifter and you won the gold medal in the clean and jerk, these scrolls are the analogous to, boom, you popped it up, and it is forever suspended above the ground. Well, the clean and jerk guy, or the power lifter, or the marathon runner isn't forever capturing that moment unless they give a picture or something like that. But the bar isn't forever suspended above the earth because gravity will rip it down. Nice thing with steel is you put that effort in, it's there forever. And it's pretty cool. And here, let's see. And the other thing is, I don't bend words. I make letters and shit out of steel because it always looks like shit. All right. God bless you all. Hopefully that helps. Maybe gives a little insight.